through who you'll be speaking to, and then we've got one of our lovely ladies to run through some questions. Again, the goal is to come away from this evening inspired, hopefully learn something new, and maybe there's something that you can add to the conversation as we move into the questions. So, without further ado, I'll jump into our introductions. First of all, this person, if you Google this person, you'll probably be talking up here for half an hour. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown. First on our panel is a great example of how to play the hospitality game, and has become an industry star, 20 plus years of experience working in events, hospitality industry, former owner of Eve nightclub, winner of Australian Bar Awards in 2011, and current owner of Bar Bambi and Russian Entertainment. Please make some noise for Nick Russian. Might have put him on the spot. Sorry, Nick, come on up.
Timed out in a quick.
All right. While Nick comes up, moving on to our next. Second on the panel with 5 years of experience in the hospitality industry, working as a cocktail bartender, in management, now operation manager and public relations manager at the Budgie Bar and the Stolen Gem, with a huge understanding of how data can help hospitality better understand the current market trends and how we can utilize this to run effective and profitable venues. Please make a warm welcome for Charles Jacob. Come on up, brother.
Hey, mate.
They did write these, I promise. The next one, if you know Easey's and you love burgers, you probably already know this beautiful man. So you asked me to say that part. I'm just putting it out. Previously pursuing a career in law, but deciding to change careers, follow his passion. Building a reputation through social media channels, penned a book titled The Burger Book, Victoria, in 2013, travelled the world eating and reviewing burgers, considered to be at the forefront of burger knowledge in Australia, and continuing to travel the world in search of the perfect burger. Our last panellist, Jimmy Hurlston. Give it up, fam.
Here we go.
They are going to have some words for me later, I think, but we'll get through this. And then lastly, who'll be having the conversation for us from HungryHungry, head of product customer experience with over 20 plus years of working in innovative transformations of business to business and BTC. This is across multiple industries. There's actually a lot more could say about her, but she's one of our leaders. Sound guy's telling me to move. Sorry. She's one of our leaders. She's a beautiful soul as well. Please give it up for DC. Come on up. And I will hand it over. Don't kill me, panel.
Denise planned ahead.
Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. Really excited you're all here. So I'm going to kick off with a few questions for our lovely group of panelists here. So one of the first questions I have is, what are some of the major shifts you view that are happening in the hospitality industry, and how are they changing the way you run your operations at your venue? So starting with you, Charlie.
I was going to say, I guess we're going right to left. I think one of the main things we've been seeing in our venues is basically just, I guess, accessibility. I think that's across the board, whether it be accessibility to the venue and having something available for everyone to go to, as well as other elements like, obviously, ordering platforms and how you actually get your drink and stuff, and obviously the classic hospo aspect of being able to walk up to a bar and grab something, but as well as being able to, we're seeing a big shift into like RTDs and at-home entertainment as well. So I think that's definitely something I'm seeing and we're seeing in hospo is kind of, basically just the accessibility of being able to go to a venue, get a drink, but if you also want to stay at home and experience that hospo vibe, getting that ready is raring as well in that sense, yeah.
I guess everyone's different, just variable to your customer, isn't it? But for us, the biggest change has obviously been the lack of staffing that there is in it's the world, from what I understand. And what we've done, we started off as a 5-day, 5-night sort of operation, and then over time we found that we're just burning out our staff, and pardon me, and in particular the senior staff, the ones that you could always rely on. So we took a different approach and condensed our operations. I was just saying to one of the boys before, we condensed our operations to really focusing on the money-making nights, being Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, the real money-making nights, then plus a midweek function, and then doing other days during particular seasons. So in doing that, what we also did is we looked at the idea of, all right, well, how are we going to maximise our dollar for each of those nights as well? So what we've done is we've set it up where every single booking is locked into a minimum spend, every single booking. So we've kept that since day one, and touch wood, we're 12 months old, and it's been working favourably for us. So that's probably the biggest thing I can point out.
What about you, Jimmy?
I think there's a lot of people that have come out post-COVID, so I think we've faced that. People wanted to go and experience things, so sure, there were the at-home type of offerings, but I think people really wanted to go out and experience hospitality. So those people that do a really good job of it have seen a big boom, and obviously made it through COVID quite comfortably, and I think those people maybe not necessarily, that's where the customers have left them and gone to the people that are doing a really good job of it. So that's probably a trend that I've noticed a little bit. QR codes, obviously people have a different approach to ordering. They don't necessarily need that face-to-face offering, but QR code also seems to upsell. That's a big one. People want more.
Great. And then how has changing consumer behaviours, both maybe in venue, but also like prior to them coming to your venue, and then also your venue. How has that changed at all for you, and what have you done differently when it comes to your business?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a bit of a mixture about what these two gents just said. In the short staffing of everything, I think the aspect of getting that really one-to-one kind of aspect you used to get prior to COVID. I mean, we're seeing a lot of green staff coming in, staff that haven't worked behind a bar before, that haven't run the floor before, so it's kind of catering that availability of staff and that skill set to what the customers are after. So I think kind of going around that aspect of working with other elements of prior as well to experience is something we've really focused on, and before they even get to the venue, making sure that you're really open to communication, you're really ready to talk to someone, whether you message us on a Tuesday night on social media, we'll get back to you as soon as possible kind of thing. It kind of alleviates any pressure that you often have on those service nights because you've already had a really good working relationship with your customers. So I definitely think that kind of prior service aspect of making sure that everyone's really comfortable, that you've kind of made a bit of an identity and a bit of a safe space for the customers who actually go to your venue, and then when you're there, it's back to the basics. Just asking them for a drink and making sure they're happy, and the old customer's always right. I guess there's always an aspect in there, but I mean, there's definitely other elements outside of that that really cater to that and make it a bit more approachable.
Have you found anything around that, Nick, on your side?
Do you mind repeating the question?
I spoke for too long.
I forgot what the question was, sorry. my answer won't be as in-depth as that, I'll pre-warn you. So
in terms of just consumer behaviours and how they're changing, whether they be, their pre-arrival at your destination, your venue, and then in the venue as well as post-venue.
Yeah.
Have there been any changes that you've done?
I think people are really making their night count. I remember going back 20-odd years ago, people would just go out on those couple of key nights and spend all their money for that time. Again, every venue's different, but I've just found that with our consumer, they're really making that night count, and the spend per head is up across the board. And then, pre them arriving to the venue, it's just very important to be outlining what's going to be occurring for them across the night. So,
Okay. And Jimmy, I think we talked about this before. Do you find it's changed actually much for you in your establishment?
Yeah, a little bit. Probably touching on what Nick's just said is that people have become more savvy prior to attending, so that customer journey, the customers looking in advance, Googling, looking at what offering, contacting Instagram, so adding things like bots, message bots that will automatically respond to someone and say, hey, we've got your information, we're going to contact you, automatically makes that customer feel like you want them there. So the pre-journey has changed because people have become more savvy. Post-journey, yes, there are still lots of people that go and write Google reviews. Most of them pain in the ass. Some of them... I read Google reviews every 2 or 3 months. And it's generally because there's one and there's something useful in there, and then I'll go back and read all the other ones that I haven't read, and then I'll go and do something that's completely different that has nothing to do with hospitality to clear my head. That customer journey, the post-customer journey and the pre-customer journey has changed a little bit. In venue, it's somewhat changed based on people's aversion to cleanliness and those sorts of things, but I think that part still kind of remained the same. the post and pre-journey different.
We have an automated email that's sent out to every customer who walks in the doors. I'm sure a lot of people do. And as you were just saying then, you know, you have to be able to look through whose opinion, well, everyone has an opinion, but you have to be able to look through whose opinion matters. You know what I mean? If we get all of our response, you know, 9 out of 10 of them are positive. Well, I shouldn't say 9 out of 10. So you get
it's probably 98 out of 100.
Yeah, you know, and then you get one person who gives you some constructive criticism. I had a bad night. We waited 20 minutes for our table, and of course that can happen as well. It affected their night. You know, we'll go back to them with, "We're so sorry. You know, here's a dinner on us or a drink on us or whatever," to try and get them back into the venue. You know, but then you get that. What would you call them? Arsehole? Is that the best word?
We call them robots.
Okay, robots. There you go.
They're the robots whenever there's an article written about your venue or whatever. They're the people that come and they've seen it on Channel 9 or Channel 7.
Yeah.
Those people are robots and they write negative reviews.
Yeah, so they're going out of their way to be not necessarily constructive, or, you know, it's just more about being as poisonous towards you as they can.
They just want to be heard.
They want to be heard. There you go. Perfectly said. Yeah.
And I know, Charlie, you're really heavy on like data and marketing in your venue as well. How have you distinguished that between, like, you know, the bot attitude versus like the real values, and how you and your team use that information to maybe make changes within your venue?
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult, but we very much focus on that pre-customer journey as we were discussing. We focus on, you know, not only how they're booking your table and what platform they're using, but how they actually got there, whether it's from your paid advertising, whether it's from just a generic Google search, you know, the classic, you know, rooftop bar near me. That's a big one for us, is just looking at whether we're getting that kind of customer. So it's difficult to, I mean, even in data at the moment, despite what they're trying to do is, you know, and remove that bot aspect of it, you're definitely going to come across them and you're definitely going to get some false data out of it. But I think as much as reviews are, you know, you can get the iffy ones, it's relating all of them together. It's seeing who's going to your website, who's booking, how they're getting there, whether it's through paid advertising or whatever, and then seeing that post journey as well. The people who actually came and booked, did they spend money? How did they spend money? Did they enjoy their time? Did they hate their time? Why did they hate their time? All of that we really need to take into account, and so we can better the journey moving forward.
That's great, awesome. And obviously one of the challenges in the hospital industry right now is definitely the supply chain, whether it be staff, food, you name it. There's a lot of challenges in that space. So have you guys looked at ways to either diversify your business or make changes to deal with that very dynamic environment right now? And maybe start with you, Nick.
Basically, over-ordering. That's our solution to it at the moment. When it comes to particular products, there's shortage of champagne. There's a shortage of gin at the moment. We're trying to get our house pouring. They're out of gin, you know. So we're just basically over-ordering. That's the honest answer, and that's what we'll be continuing to do until we get through this whole passage. Yeah. So it's not a very great advice for anyone, but that's our current solution. And then when you talk about staffing, as I mentioned before, we've condensed our hours of trade, and then really tried to maximise our earning capacity on those major nights, and really trying to invest in the staff and make it a happy place for them, so they're they want to stay with you, because it's very easy to burn them out.
No, it was just looking after your staff is the most important thing. We have a very, very low attrition rate at Easey's. It's very, like, a lot of our staff, some have been there since we first opened 8 years ago, some 4, 5, 6 years, but that's only because they finished school 4 years ago. They're still there. So investing in your staff is very important. We diversified a bit because I had the whole building at Easey's, so I had other space, and I was just showing Charlie before. We've got space, we're paying for it. We put a golf simulator in the back room because it was a garage and I couldn't use it for anything else. So we thought we'd put a golf simulator in there, and we opened that last week, so hopefully that can bring in some more customers, but that's just another revenue stream inside there. I'm in the process of putting a tattoo studio on one of the other levels. Just trying to make a place I don't really have to leave. so I don't feel so bad about being there so much. Yeah, so that's a bit of diversification. Obviously, we did all take-home packs, and Charlie was saying before they were doing pack cocktails and stuff like that. So there's always space to diversify, and a bit silly if you don't. So yeah, I would definitely try new things.
What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it's an amalgamation of all of that. I mean, definitely with the different spaces and utilising different kind of areas which works with treating your staff fantastically, making sure that staff retention's there as well. But I think there is also an element of giving the staff what they want in return as well. I mean, with the casual staff rate at the moment, I think... Was that?
Within reason.
Within reason. Yeah. So having other elements like, your private events during the week that Nick was mentioning or early Saturdays is something we've been focusing on, that kind of weekday event, which means that, your staff can pick up an few extra hours here and there and training them up so that they can run those events by themselves and service those customers. And so they get that satisfaction from having that skill set as well, but also the extra hours there. And then obviously in between all of that, making sure that they're happy and having a good time.
Great. Let's shift gears a little bit. So one of the things with hospitality has obviously always been about human interactions, right? Like you said, giving staff and service and all that great stuff. Yet there's also been a lot of kind of innovation in the hospitality space, whether it be robotic waiters or, and I think we chuckled about robotic beer dispensers, digital ordering, machine learning, you name it. How have you, what's your first gut reaction when you hear about that stuff? And kind of how do you and your management team and your staff, have conversations about that, or what do you talk about when those topics come up?
Yeah.
Digital ordering is definitely something for us. Our venues it's more about going there for an experience.
It's a high-end experience. I'll say it for you.
Thank you. It's a different experience. So a lot of that doesn't really relate to us at this point in time. Someone will come for an after-work drink, then someone comes for dinner that turns into bottle service and a singer, and then they're dancing on the table. You know what I mean? So they're coming for an experience. So, I'm always open to absolutely anything, technology-wise. But yeah, it probably doesn't really relate to us as much with our current offering. Yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
I mean, I heard a giggle from our VM before just because we tried the robot waiter. My background was mentioned in the very overly needed intro, was that my background's in PR and marketing. So something like a robot waiter, it has its element of something that you can kind of push on social media, something real bit gimmicky. I mean, not a bit, it's very gimmicky, but a little bit fun as well. So we tried that and look, I was against it. It wasn't my choice, but we did it. And I think there's an element that, I think we've said it 5 or 6 times tonight already, that people do just want to come in and get that hospital aspect after a couple of years of sitting at home and having it at home. They want to come out, they want to chat with the bartender, they want to get a drink. So I think that side of things is a little bit touch and go, but obviously then there's also the aspect of during those times people kind of grew to get things at their fingertips. You can get everything delivered to your house any day of the week, next day delivery, same day delivery, and I think it's the same when they go out as well. You used to be able to just walk up to a bar and get a drink instantly. Now you can sit at your table and get a drink instantly. So I think that side of things is fantastic, but I definitely think there's a few learning curves in the next level of service. So robot waiters are a no for me, but I'm give me anything if I don't have to move, so I'm happy with that.
Gonna have robots delivering burgers, Jimmy?
I'd love to. No, I think there's part of that. What's the quote from The Matrix? That is the sound of inevitability. I think that's robots and people doing these things is going to happen. It happens in every industry. Automation there are people who study years to just be able to do that and find a more efficient way of doing things. So it's coming. And I think we're gradually going to see cash disappear. So the cash robot one, they're going to keep coming. Less staff, all those things. It's frustrating for us because when we first opened Easey's, we actually had tablets on every table so people could order from the tablet. It didn't work. It was a disaster overnight, and we took them all out. They just became football screens. But it's coming. It's coming, and there are obviously the hospitality element everyone craved over the last couple of years, so I think that has been a really good thing, and it won't ever go away. That will never disappear. People are always going to want that. But there'll be a space in between, you know, what Nick does and, you know, arguably what we do. Maybe not us because it's a little different, but your regular hamburger place, there'll be a gap, a huge gap between that. And I don't think people will waste their money outside of that. So you'll have automation and then you'll pay for the experience and you'll go all out and you'll have a big night as a result of that.
All right. In terms of, I think for the audience here, they'd probably love to leave with a few nuggets of things that, if you look forward to 2023 and beyond, what are some things that maybe keep you up at night and what you're doing to actually try to battle those issues, either with your venue or with just market pressures, et cetera. So maybe starting with you, Jimmy, if there's anything that kind of keeps you up at night that you're, you know, have some ideas that you've tried, what are some of those things?
I think accessibility to immigration in this country is the most important thing. Preventing foreign land ownership is a very important thing. Otherwise, we're all going to be screwed. And if those things keep happening, we're going to have to keep paying hospitality staff more and more and more and more. And then all those other industries, the supply chain industries, the truck drivers, they're going to want to get paid more because their houses become more expensive. So yeah, that keeps me up at night.
Right. Nick, what about yourself?
Back to staffing, that's just the number one focus for us over the next 6 months. Look, I've always said with any previous business that I've gone into, it always takes about 18 months to really solidify your team in a good environment, let alone...
13 or 14 months since you opened?
Yeah, that's it. So we're, you know, these next 6 months, we're really knuckling down and trying to focus on solidifying our team, and that is the element that keeps us awake at night, because usually I'm working, yes, as is my brother. So, yeah, that's a big focus.
Yeah, much the same over here. I think just training and staffing in that aspect of things. I mean, you've got, as I mentioned before, staff that have never poured a beer before in their life. So I think that training aspect of it and the staffing that comes with it, and getting the staff in that may have some experience, but training them and teaching them to love hospitality is a big thing for us. Teaching them all the great things that are out there about hospitality and the other elements like events like tonight that come with it as well, let alone, just pouring a beer behind a bar. Training's probably the big one for me.
Yeah, getting people to love hospitality is a really important thing. I worked in hospitality, left, came back. I think getting people to really love it and know that there's not actually the same ceiling that's perceived in hospitality. You learn the skill set by working for other people, and then you go and open your own place. That's the biggest thing that we've achieved at Easey's. I think we're at 9 staff that have worked for us and gone and left and opened their own place as a result of it. And I've always said it's either because they think this guy's an idiot and if he can do it, I can do it, or they really loved it and they thought, this is a great industry, I would like to go and make this my life also. So, yeah, making hospitality staff fall in love with it by taking care of them, looking after them, those sorts of things are that's most crucial.
That's great. All right, I think those were the main questions we have for this evening. So we'd like to actually throw it to the floor in terms of any questions that you guys in the audience have. So I'm going to pass the mic to Laz. Any questions?
All right. Before the nervous person puts her hand up first, I've got a question for the lads while we get some hands up. This is for everyone. I'd love to hear. You spoke about staffing a lot. So more on a people relationship point, which are obviously all of you are amazing at, hence your success. Is there anyone who you've worked with, could be staff or partners, whatever, that's really been a key learning for you? You've found something they've done really well in business, operations, anything to do with your success? And maybe if you can unpack a story or two to share with everyone, I think that'd be awesome. Did you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Gives a sec.
Can't say yourself either.
Hey?
Can't say yourself.
No, definitely not me. Why would I do that? When we first started Easey's, I got mostly strategic investment, but there was one specific investor who was just a rich fella that wanted to put money into it. Turns out he was the most valuable strategic investment out of all of them because he helped me on all the stuff that I was no good at, which is most of what I was doing. But he helped me learn those sides of things on the go without extra pressure as an investor to say, you need to complete this, I need this money, whatever it is. He was a guiding thing. So I really appreciate him and try to pass that information down from him. So, yeah.
From my view, when I was younger, I always picked the brains of older people. Whereas now, as I'm older, I'm continually spending time with, investing time into the younger kids and really getting an understanding of their psyche. That's the biggest thing that I do, is just getting a real understanding of what they're thinking, because that younger person, their marketing ideas and where they're looking and everything, our audience may not be looking at it now, but in a number of years' time, that's where they'll be going. So I remember back with previous venues and everything, I remember we were like one of the very first venues on Facebook, for example, and that was from dealing with a lot of our young 18-year-old kids who were working with us at that time. And then we were, that's it. And then it was, then we were one of the very first to be on Instagram, and we continued to develop that over time. And then when we sold our different businesses, we still kept relevant on social media, and then brought that across to our new venue. And now we continue to talk to that 18, 19-year-old kid about where their head's at and what their friends are doing, and because that's where we see our future, not necessarily next year, but in the coming years. Yeah,
mine's much the same as Nick. In similar aspect is I work mainly behind the scenes, do a lot of the operations behind it, but every week we have new ideas, something to push for that week, a new special or a new event or something that we can kind of slam out there, and we're always ready to go from behind the scenes. But one thing that really stood out to me was and it seems obvious, but just forgetting to ask the people who are actually doing it. You can push out and you can put any special out, you can get a new spirit in, you can do all that, but if you're not talking to the bartenders and wait staff that are actually pushing it and selling it on the night, then it can often just flop because they've got no idea what's going on. And the same works in the back way around. POS systems is one big thing with us, and the speed of service with the POS, making sure that the most sold items, the first button that's on the thing to click. I mean, you don't know that unless you talk to the person who's serving the drinks. You can guess, but it's probably the most important thing to me.
Cool, thank you. I think the bar staff are nodding their head. We've probably got time for maybe 3 or so questions. If anyone's got one. The bright lights are open. Oh, there's one.
Thank you, Loz. My name's Robbie. I've got a question specifically for Charlie. Charlie, you and I know each other pretty well. But there's some things about Budgie Bar that, I think that there's a lot of really great learnings for the rest of the room that maybe you could shed some light on. So Budgie Bar's in Ringwood, and I grew up in Ringwood 10 to 15 years ago, and it had a very bad reputation. It was quite a lowbrow sort of place to be for nightlife and hospitality.
Daisy's in Dakota.
Daisy's is flat.
Daisy's in Dakota.
With that in mind, no longer living in Ringwood and coming back and now being your account manager and seeing the way that you've transformed hospitality at Budgie Bar, you don't have visibility on the street, you don't have walking traffic. How did Budgie Bar stick to its guns and transformation happen?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. I think it's an element of good and bad, because as you said, Ringwood did have a reputation. When we first opened, we opened about 7 years ago. We were doing mainly private events. In the last 3 years, we turned it into a public venue. But I think it's an element of that kind of worry about Ringwood that we really kind of stuck on. We made our space really safe. We made sure that anyone who came, and not to say you're not going to get stabbed out the front of our venue. So I don't want to put that out there. So it wasn't an unsafe area. Disclaimer. But I think we made it so that every person who kind of walked into the venue, there was something that they liked, there was something that they wanted, and they were comfortable being there. So we went to the absolute extremes of that. I mean, I remember about a year ago, our cocktail menu, we're a cocktail bar basically as well, but our cocktail menu got out to 30, 40 different cocktails, which is ridiculous, because you throw in green staff members in there and you're like, here's 40 cocktails, and they get 40 different ones in a row. And then we're turning around and wondering why our wait times are at 40 minutes. But we made it so that whoever came into the venue, there was a cocktail for them, there was a wine for them, there was a beer for them, and then just from entry, you were met by a happy face, you were met by a smiley face, and you wanted to stay there the whole night, because there was no point leaving, because you're happy, you had what you wanted, the food was great, the drinks were great, and the service was fantastic, and there was a security guard at the door that had a very strict no dickhead policy. So you were pretty happy and safe in that aspect. So we just gave people what they really asked for and wanted, I guess.
Good question, Robbie. No dickhead policy. Love it. A couple more questions. I think we got time. If anyone's... Yep, here we go.
It's all hungry stuff.
Hello. My name's Sahil. Question for anyone really, but when you think about a pre-COVID or post-COVID operation of your venues, is there anything that you're thinking that, holy shit, I cannot believe I used to wake up and work like that every day or use that every day? Anything that comes to mind?
Is that for you?
Yeah, I can't believe I woke up and worked that hard before COVID. And then when COVID hit, I can't believe I worked that hard ever. Like I worked open to close in the kitchen 7 days a week. That's not physically possible for anyone to do. So it was a good thing for me to do to see what the breaking point was. But yeah, it was too much. So yeah, I can't believe I worked that hard before. I think I was quite controlling prior to COVID as well. Post-COVID, I've allowed people more autonomy, which has freed up my time. So yeah, that's probably what happened.
Probably doesn't really relate to me. We've opened just after COVID, you know, so we were building through that phase, and then prior to then, my previous venue was a couple of years earlier. You know,
what's the comparison between Eve and
Bambi?
Bambi?
You're working longer hours now. Yeah, definitely working a hell of a lot more hours. I'm doing about 100 hours a week, which isn't sustainable.
It's the first year though, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So I've gone into it as you expect in that first year, don't you? You know, so yeah. Can I believe that I'm working this hard? Well, I kind of do. Yeah, because going into it, I set out the expectation for myself and for my brother that, hey, we're going to live there.
It's your commitment.
Yeah, that first 12 months, that first 18 months, you know, you need to get to know your consumer. You may have had success at previous venues, but just because you've had success at previous venues, it doesn't mean this one's going to work. Your clientele may have changed slightly, but may have stayed predominantly the same. But there's always changes, and you need to be there to make sure that you know your consumer inside out. And also you need to know the operations of your venue inside and out as well. So yeah, being in these early stages still, yeah, but just... Yeah, you live it, you breathe it, and hopefully in another 6 months' time I'll get to see my wife again. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
if she hangs around.
We were much the same. We had an established venue during COVID, and we also opened a new venue at the start of COVID in Feb of this year, or at the end of COVID, sorry, in Feb of this year. So we saw that as well with the and I guess the main thing for me was just, learning to trust other people, learning to trust the venue manager. I was much the same. I was an absolute control freak. I want to know everything, 100% what's going on at all times. And if there's any issues, I want to fix it like on the spot, and I'll drop anything to fix it. But sometimes it's not applicable and not absolutely necessary.
But I think that's why you're successful though as well, and the business has been successful because you initially started with that point of view, and everyone else got to their brains end up on the same level as yours. You know, I reckon you need to do it for those early days, you know. So.
There is definitely elements of that, but I think, in terms of that, it's just kind of being like, if you're happy to run this and you know, if something breaks and go on a chat with the customer and just saying, sorry, it's broken, it'll be fixed soon, like, that's okay. Having a conversation with someone being like, it's going to be a little bit longer, but it's okay. It's like, yeah, sweet. Whereas I was definitely like, nah, fix it now.
Awesome. Thanks, Sahil. We've probably got time for one more question. Anything? No? Good? Oh, yep. Well, I might get you to come up here. The sound guy might murder me. Please, if that's okay. Thank you.
You've all spoken about some of the challenges that you've had. I'm just wondering what technology is doing to help you solve some of those since COVID started.
I'll fire away. Okay. I'll fire away. I guess technology, you've got, for me, again, pre-customer walking in the door, during the time they're in the door, and then once they've left, you know. So, again, if I go back and talk technology, okay, there's apps for doing, before you're opening, you've got apps for rostering. You've got your, as I was saying before, we've now condensed our trading hours, so we set a minimum spend per head for everybody as they make their booking online. On the night, we have a central system that everyone goes to, so they've got all their notes in an app on their phone during night. To post consumer, you know, walking out the doors. You know, I was saying before, the automated emails that go out to them, and they come back with an automatic grading, and once they come back with an automatic grading, something we're bringing in, if it's above a certain level, then there's another email that goes out to send them to Google to help us out there. You know what I mean? So there's,
public.
yeah. Thank you for your nice words. Do you mind?
Illegal, though, right?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Is
I
it
don't think
really?
you're actually allowed to solicit Google reviews directly. Yeah.
I said we're talking about doing that.
Hypothetical.
Hypothetically
It's a
speaking.
We haven't tabled that.
So there's just a few elements of technology.
I think in your instance it's probably quite, and ours, the post-customer experience, Instagram and social media, their ability to share directly with people that they're close with is valuable for all hospitality venues now. I think that obviously hasn't changed, but I think technology and people's acceptance of QR codes, that was just a thing from now on. People were just going to become okay with it. That level of technology certainly changed post-COVID or during COVID. And I think that it's here to stay for now.
Yeah, we're definitely pretty customer focused at our venue. At least we use Google Analytics ridiculously, like far too much. We look at everything from they're tracking where they're clicking on our website, whether they're clicking the book now page before they're clicking the about page. We go that far in depth, and even using the QR codes, which has been also helpful in that aspect, is we can track how they're scrolling, what page they're staying the most on. Are they spending too long on the cocktail page? Do we want to see the food page more often, and everything in that? And it sounds a bit creepy, but we track everyone. We track how they go from we track them go from our social media to our website, from Google search to our website, from the website to our online store, from our online store to our book page, to our booking page, to how long they stay at each table in our venue, and how often, and as I said, like how long they're spending on each page. So that's really important to us, is the analytics of it all, and seeing if we can make it smoother. It gets down to the simple thing of like, just make the button bigger on the website and people will click it. So like even as simple as that, we look at that and see if that is going to help people book more. So probably that. Yeah, analytics is a big technological factor for us.
Nice. Anyone else worried about Charlie? I feel like
I will find you.
he's going to stalk all of us. Okay, awesome.
If you could add anything to digital ordering, what would it be?
If you asked me about half an hour ago, I would have said bar tabs, but lucky.
We got those.
I mean, for me, I think I'm sure someone's going to yell out and say it's coming soon as well, but upsells is a big factor for us too. I mean, that's definitely one aspect that QR codes
That's why
don't.
you have table service.
Yeah, a table service, and even an order in the bar, just that simple, can I get you this as well, is huge. It's the old Macca's, do you want fries with that? So it's definitely something that would be hugely beneficial.
Upsell. Yeah, nice and simple.
Yeah, the customer's already there. Get more money from them. That's it.
Getting less and less filtered as we carry on. It's awesome. Mark's got a question for Charlie, I think.
With marketing, one of the things that I've observed over the years is that a lot of operators kind of go, well, we'll get to that, or where do we even begin? So maybe if you can just share with us how you and your partners or management team, like how many hours a week would you spend on that stuff? And for those that perhaps don't come from a marketing background, where would you suggest maybe they start?
In terms of, I guess, like in terms of the actual from marketing to the actual service aspect, I mean, we have a weekly meeting basically where we kind of sit down and we're just like, hey, this is what we want to push this week. Are you cool with this? How can we do it? And if it's yes, we can push this, and then that's basically when it comes back to us on us pushing it. So in terms of actually the application of it, it's quite quick. We're lucky we have some really good management and staff at our venue, so we can push it really quickly in that side of things. In terms of the actual marketing of it and the back of house, I mean, that's mainly what I do. I would spend 3 out of my 5 days a week working on the marketing and pushing over to that side of things. I guess for us, I mean, the obvious start is social media. I mean, it's a really good way to just grow a captive audience and an audience that you can put something out to the people that want to see it. So that's the best way to put it. That's the best part about social media. I mean, you can do your paid ads on social media and reach people that may not want to see it. And that's obviously the big fall down of paid advertising on social media. You get a lot of people who are like, I don't want to see this shit. Like, get off. And you get the comments of like, I did not solicit to like it's ridiculous. But I mean, the actual just generic posting and being very present on there is a huge element for us. I mean, we post every day basically, and we're on there every day and making sure that if someone wants a question or messaging us or whatever, we're there, we're present, and you try and bridge the line of not being too in their face, but also being like, if you just want to know what's going on, the best place to look is on any of our socials. And that's the classics, Instagram and Facebook as well, but we do that on Google as well. If you just Google our venue, we've got our post there as well of what's going on. So I definitely think that's probably the best place to start. It's all very obvious, so I'm sorry, it's not a very exciting answer.
Cool. Any last questions before we... Yep, come on.
What's your number one advice to do if you have like a real quiet period? Like, like if you just, you find your venue empty and dead, like what is your best advice for what to do in that situation?
It's been a long time for us, but previously there are a lot of periods at Easey's during the day where there was no one around. You still had to staff it. Did you have to have someone upstairs? Did you have 2 staff on to have no customers come in? So there were different things that we looked at doing, shortening hours, like what Nick's concentrated his time, so you could reduce staffing. And then we just realised that it was probably better that we're just open and accessible to everyone, and then just work harder on doing what we do and keeping social media present so people are aware of what's happening. And the occasional special to keep people excited. But we've been lucky. We've got obviously got the train on the roof, so it's a tourist attraction. That was the hardest part in that section of COVID, that the tourists that would come all the time didn't come. We've got those people are back now, which is a good thing. But in terms of quiet times, just try and keep the place exciting. Do what you can to keep people interested. If you have to concentrate hours, do so. All those things are all places to go. There's Eat Club and there's a bunch of different apps that can help with quiet times if that's what you need. And we've never paid for advertising in any way. We don't do EDMs because I hate them. And you just get vitriol back.
Don't visit our website.
You'll get vitriol back from me, don't worry. But yeah, all those things that are, I think if you have quiet times, don't be too proud to do something that is out of your comfort zone. Probably
my suggestion would be, manage your costs, as you basically said there. Manage your costs, for one, during those times. And market research as well. Find out, why is it that things aren't going exactly as you want it to plan. Like I think about an old nightclub that I had years ago called Eve. We started off, we were killing it, and then all the hype wore off in it after a couple of months or whatever it was, and then all of a sudden there was like, shit, where is everyone? And again, I knew what our consumer was, so I had some different key people who I'd go to speak to and get their thoughts on, okay, so what are the people out in the street saying about the venue? Oh, okay, and then I'd go to someone else. I'd go to a guy I knew, a girl I knew, a few different people. And the major feedback for us back then, we're talking about 16, 17 years ago, was the door staff were rude, and the music wasn't girl friendly. So for us, from not burying our head in the sand and just sticking to, just keep doing what you're doing and then getting quieter and quieter, we slowly took on board what it is the information that was given to us. And I also mentioned before, everybody has an opinion, but you need to know which opinion you respect,
That takes time.
Yeah, which opinion you respect. So back to your question, manage your costs. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions when it comes to your market research as to why aren't people coming to your venue. Yeah, I think that's a real key thing. Head out of the sand.
One thing we've used in the past is working with pre-established groups and companies. I think you see a huge range of it across bars in Melbourne, especially with just collaborating with big brands and stuff, where I think one issue we've struggled with in the past is that trust aspect of getting customers in and they kind of go, I just don't know if I'd trust you to get a cocktail. Not from a personal level, but just in the venue level. They've never been there before. They don't know who you are. They don't know where you're from. They don't know how good your drinks are. They could be crap. So working with brands and you can go as simple as just an alcohol brand, but I mean, we've done elements in the past, like we do trivia at one of our venues, and anyone who does pub trivia here probably knows the group Quizmasters, because going that means, when you're pushing it and you're promoting it, you can go, we've got brand new cocktails and it's, 4 Pillars cocktails. And everyone goes, great, I like 4 Pillars. I like the venue, I'm probably going to get that drink. And same with the pub trivia. I like trivia, I like the venue, I'm going to go because you guys have Quizmasters now. So that's definitely something we've done in the past, is if you're struggling to bring people more people in, working with a brand or an identity that people do trust and know, because it's much easier to get that across the line to someone as opposed to being like, here's something that you have no idea about, but you just have to take my word for it. I feel like that's a lot harder of a push.
Cool. Any last questions before we wrap? I think we're good. Geez, the amount of hours you just explained makes me nervous that you're still on that stage, so appreciate your time. Before I say thank you to our panelists, just to wrap up the night, so we're going to have last drinks at 8:30, I think. Yes, DW, don't kill me. And we would love for you to stick around. If you want to have a chat to these handsome men, please do. Pick their brains. Obviously, they're very knowledgeable. Love to mingle. We got a bunch of Hungry tote bags in our creative tech cool shit room. So please come and grab one if you don't have one. But just on behalf of Hungry, thank you to everyone for coming. Please stay around. We'd love to mingle. And big thank you to the lads. I think they deserve a round of applause. So very insightful.
Well done, mate. Good job. Well done. Good to see you.
And just to let everybody know too, this is not the last of these events from us. We will be doing a ton. So thank you. Keep us posted if you want to see more. And then last quick shout out, they didn't want this, to our co-founders Mark and Shannon who are here. Round of applause. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Let's finish this tab off. Whee! Thanks, team.